FDR was able to basically get the middle class and old people to vote for him forever? Social Security, right? So what these Republicans start doing to the GAR, the Republican former Civil War soldiers, is something called giving them lots and lots of military pensions. What's it mean if you get a military pension?
You get paid for your service.
Yeah, the government gives you a check, a monthly check, for your service in the military. And if the guy running for office is waving the bloody shirt reminding you about the war and he's a leader and you're part of the Grand Army of the Republic, and if you vote for him, he promises to keep sending you those pension checks, what's likely to happen?
You're going to vote for him.
You're probably going to vote for him, right? And so what we start seeing is this corruption that pushes Northerners specifically and like Midwesterners to keep voting for these guys even though they weren't particularly impressive. Right? Grant wasn't impressive. Hayes wasn't particularly impressive. Garfield wasn't impressive, though he got killed. Arthur wasn't impressive. Right? These people aren't particularly impressive, but they keep these pension checks rolling, and it helps them get elected. Right? Okay, let's talk about the money idea. Tell me why small farmers and the poor would be against the gold standard. Raise your hand and tell me. Tiger.
With the gold standard, there was little inflation, so when the farmers got loans to the bank, they couldn't really pay it back as easy.
Okay, so the gold standard limits the amount of money in currency, right? Just like anything else, the more of something that's in currency, what happens to the value of it? I'm sorry, it's in circulation, what happens to the value of it? Gwen, why are diamonds so expensive?
Because there's not much of them.
Because there are not many of them, right? What happens if you're walking the street, Quinn, and you trip over something and you fall into a giant mine that has 7 trillion diamonds? What happens to the price of diamonds, Quinn?
They go down.
They go down. So what would happen if the gold standard eased the amount of money that's in circulation and there are more dollar bills in circulation? What happens to that value of the dollar? Value goes down. So it's easier to get a hold of dollar bills and the value goes down. The easier it is to get a hold of stuff, the easier it is to pay back off those loans. Does that make sense? Do we get why farmers didn't like the gold standard? And how is it? They were asking for bimetallism. What's bimetallism? They wanted to bank the dollar on both gold and silver, right? And that was part of the Bland-Allison Act, trying to mine more silver. Does this make sense? Okay. Tell me about corruption. Tell me about Tammany Hall. If you've seen Gangs of New York, which most of you have not, that's a big part of it, yes.
Tweed, he'll bring in a lot of immigrants, and he'll pretty much tell them who to vote for since he gave them new life in America, and they'll all vote for the politics that he wants to win.
Yeah, has anyone seen, you're 100% right, has anyone seen Far and Away before? Okay. Far and Away, it was Tom Cruise movie made in the early to mid 90s with Nicole Kidman. They were married. You know, her and Tom Cruise were married. Yeah. Anyway, they made this movie and they were Irish immigrants. There's a really cool like ward boss scene we're going to talk about that I'm going to show you like 10 minutes of it. And actually, there's 2 parts. The movie's not that great. There's 2 awesome historical parts to it that we like to look at. He's also Irish Catholic, so we root hard for him. He's also desperately poor. And he's a boxer, too. He beats up people. This is an Italian. Can't trust an Italian, can you, Quinn? I'm just kidding, those 2 people watching at home. All right, tell me about how Thomas Nast was important. Just reminding stuff. Come on, yeah.
Thomas Nast drew cartoons on newspapers because the majority of the immigrants that Boss Tweed was bringing in couldn't read. That's how he communicated the corruption of Boss Tweed. Okay, so cartoons were used as a way to expose corruption, right?
How do we expose corruption today? What are a couple ways that corruption is exposed? Do what? Commercials? How so? Same words, hoping it falls. All right.
The internet.
Maybe, right? The internet's kind of hard to hide stuff anymore, isn't it? Yeah, some journals, right? Some journals so good. What else? Twitter. Isn't it hard to be corrupt because of Twitter? news gets out so fast. What's the only problem with Twitter?
It's all the junk.
99% of it is useless, right? But a little bit's really important, right? Like some of the, it used to be over there before the potato. Some of the revolutions that happened in Egypt and Libya happened because of Facebook and Twitter. That's how they're able to communicate, right? That's a really big deal. So, although documentaries, right? Expose hard-hitting documentaries, PBS. Awesome. Well, that's run by PBS, right? But part of it, yeah. All right, let's get going. We have a lot to get done. I want to finish today the Gilded Age. All right, so some of the parties are going to start splitting up, and corruption is going to be the issue, right? We are tired of these corrupt people. And the Liberal Republican Party is going to be formed as a response to Grant's corruption. Right? The Credit Level Leader scandal, we talk about that, where congressmen were getting paid off, right, to allow for the trains to be built at the Transcontinental Railroad. We talk about the whiskey ring. We talk about Tammany Hall. And so now these liberal Republicans are forming their own party and actually forming with the Democrats. The guy's name is Horace Greeley, who runs for president. This is 1872. Have you remember hearing Horace Greeley's name before?
I've been in a textbook.
Yeah, do you remember what you read about with him? Yeah, Amber was here. He was a journalist. Speaking of exposing corruption, he was really anti-corruption. He was a journalist, and he published New York Times, maybe, or Tribune.
It was a big name.
Yeah, and he called for what?
I think it was the
He called for major reforms, anti-corruption reforms. And in fact, he hated the Democrats, but the Democrats endorsed him. But Grant still beat him back pretty good. But like one thing I want you guys to see, and this is one thing that, yesterday I was talking about trying to stand up and change things, right? You have to understand that when you do this, you're probably going to be unsuccessful at first. One of my favorite groups we're going to talk about in about next week is the Populist Party. The Populist Party, that's the Wizard of Oz people, right? Almost everything they wanted, they failed to get done themselves. But the legacy of what they wanted carried on, and things got passed 20 years later. That's the problem with democracy. It's not like a jet ski that just turns real fast, right? What's democracy like on the water?
Big.
Yeah, it's like a oil tanker or something, right? It takes a long time. Oil tankers don't slalom through stuff, right? It takes a long time for some place like America to change its culture, right? And so this is the starting of people calling to get rid of corruption and change things for the better. You're going to read in the Jungle about when things are about at their worst. And it's things like the Jungle that start changing ideas. How many of you read Feminine Mystique? Right? That helped change the women's movement, right? The Jungle is, it's a muckraking book that actually exposed some of these problems. We get huge changes today because of this book. How many of you have ever heard of the FDA before? The Food and Drug Administration? It's in direct reaction to this book. How many of you ever seen when you go to buy meat at the grocery store, it's been inspected? The meat has to be inspected directly from this book. This book has made your lives better, right? And girls specifically, Feminine Mystique made your lives better. Probably the boys has made your lives better, right? Women calling for equality, get a stronger woman now.
You get the most tasteful stuff.
Just
Except-
plain, Allie.
Except Tiger, you're going to have to get into a time machine and go back. Does anyone ever watch New Girl? No one watches New Girl on here?
I've seen it before. 2 times.
Oh my God. If you haven't watched New Girl, you have to. It is hysterical. It's so funny. Have you ever watched Mindy Project? It's the only 2 sitcoms I watch anymore. It's really funny. You have to watch it. It's really, really
You don't
funny.
watch Parks and Recreation?
No, I mean, I like it. I don't. I like Modern Family, but I never know when it's on. So I guess I watch Big Bang Theory, but like, I just don't watch that much.
Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays.
I know it's on rerun.
USA.
And I know that it's on, but I also know it's on Netflix,
Oh, it's on
so I
ABC
never
at like
have to.
6.
So like anything that's on Netflix, I'm like, I'm not watching that now. I can watch it eventually. All right, so let's talk about the differences between parties. Remember we talked about this with the Federalists and the Jeffersonians? And then later we talked about it between the Democrats and Republicans before the Civil War, right? Well, let's make sure we know now the difference between the Republicans and Democrats, and some of them have awesome names. All right? Other than the money and tariff issues, right? Which side like tariffs, Republicans or Democrats? Republicans, right? Republicans wanted to favor business. Which one liked the gold standard, do you think? Republicans or Democrats? Republicans did, right? Big money, Republicans. But it was social issues that really divided the two parties. Today, what divides our parties today, do you think? Is it social or business or what is it?
Abortion.
Abortion is...
Morality.
That's a social issue.
It's social.
A lot of it's social, but a lot of it's also size of government, right? Like the role of government. So actually, I think there's big divides between the parties today. There's on